So the other day there was a discussion, well rather a question, asked by a member of a Facebook group I'm a moderator of. Does a thermostat work with temperature or pressure? And a lot of people got the answer half right, and a lot of people didn't seem to fully grasp just how simple and how a thermostat actually works. So here's a thermostat, slightly damaged because I already did this once and I didn't like the video, so I had to do this all over again. But anyways, here's a thermostat, normal 1985 Camaro, small block Chevy thermostat. Now what this is, it's a temperature controlled valve that when this reaches 100, well this specific one, when this one's meant for 180 degrees. So when the coolant, or actually I'm sorry, when the thermostat becomes 180 degrees, the wax inside this copper cylinder, because there's wax inside of here, the wax will heat up and expand, cause pressure to push this rod out, which will open it. This rod will get pushed out, which will open up the thermostat. Now let me get this back in. Shit. Okay, so now this is the thermostat closed because it wouldn't allow coolant through because it's not 180 degrees. Now, if I take the thermostat, put it in a vise, and light it on fire, it'll open. Just kidding, this is going to take forever. No. Speed things up. So, if you take the thermostat and make it 180 degrees, it'll open up because what's happening is the wax inside the copper cylinder is expanding and counteracting the pressure the spring is providing. And there it goes. So what's happening is the copper slug with the wax inside of it is now over 180 degrees. What that has caused to happen is it pushed the rod out even more. You can see what I'm talking about. The rod has extended out of the thermostat quite a bit because it's now of temperature. So this basically would allow coolant to pass through until it cools down the thermostat below 180 degrees. So let's simulate that by putting some water on it and closing it up. That it's temperature. Like, oh, you can just take a thermostat and throw it in a pot of boiling water and it'll open up, and that's how you test it. What they were ignoring is the fact that the spring is constantly providing pressure, keeping it closed. And when the wax reaches a certain temperature, it'll expand and counteract the pressure the spring is providing. So it's pressure versus pressure. So it's temperature and pressure. It's both. And they work hand in hand with each other, and without one, the other wouldn't, this thing wouldn't work. This is there are different thermostat designs, but this is one of the more common style. And this is how this works. So it's temperature and pressure. So what happens is when this reaches 180 degrees, it pushes this little rod out, which counteracts the pressure of the spring, which is a bimetallic spring, which I kind of destroyed by heating. Actually, I don't know if it's bimetallic, it might be. I don't know how to test that. housing. This is basically the main component, this little piece right here. So I'm just basically picking away this brass. I'm not too worried about the screwdriver. This soft metal. Actually, that might even be copper. But I'm just going to slowly eat this rim away, so hopefully I can get this thing out. Oh, there's the rod. Actually, I kind of want to heat this up and see if the wax will come out. Ooh, it's got a pressure. That's cool. What's happening here? Oh, what happened is there's air. I introduced air into the system when I pulled out the plunger, so now it's fighting that. So they probably make this, well, obviously they're gonna have to make this somehow without the air being in there beforehand. I can feel it. It's almost like a grease, slimy. Not too. It's not sticky, but feels almost like a lubricant of sort. So let's continue picking away at this and getting that open. Oh, I don't know if I'm actually getting this. I might just be making it worse. I don't know. Let's try a more delicate approach. Shit. Okay, so this is brass on top and this is copper on the outside. So if I just pick away at this copper, I can get the bronze out, which will show me the wax underneath. She is hot. What's the other thing? That's actually a pretty solid piece of brass in there. You can see the delineation between the two. Where's that? You can see the difference between the wheels right here, this line. That's actually a pretty thick piece of brass. I can go all the way around. Okay. Like pissing on a prom night. and she's free. Oh, that stinks. I think there's some rubber inside of there that just is not happy about the temperature. Yeah, I can smell that rubber right there. So, let's get that out of there. If it'll let me. Okay, so it is a very thick, like very thick material. Very, very, very thick. Almost like this is almost like a really tough crayon, maybe like an off-brand or something. I don't know how else to describe it. It almost looks like a copper gasket maker. Has the same kind of sheen to it. It's not the same consistency. I would say it's a wax. I mean, it's I don't know if I should even be touching this. But it crumbles like a wax and has, I don't know, it's hard to say. It doesn't, let's heat it up. See what happens when fire gets introduced. Does it melt? I think it melts. It's hissing. It doesn't like that. Oh yeah, it melts. It turns into a paste. Yep. There's nothing at the bottom of this other than this wax type material I can see in the bottom. It's just copper. Yeah. So basically this is what it is after being taken apart. I first made a cut along right here which held it all together. Once this is pried free, you can take the spring out and the mechanism, the thermal mechanism. I'm just going to refer to this as the thermal mechanism. What happens is this wax right here, which is inside of this copper slug, expands and then it puts pressure on this rubber. And what that does is, well, I kind of had to force the thing through there because I damaged it. But there's air in there. There's a little air pocket in there. And what happens is it presses on this rubber when the wax expands and pushes this up. That's really all it is. Like, that's the wax. It's really stiff and hard. Feels like plastic. Once you heat it up, it becomes like a soft crayon. And that is how a thermostat works.